to the 4 bells and workout from home number 113. We find ourselves at the beginning of our new 6-week cycle. So what's this going to be? This is going to be what we are affectionately going to call the Arms and Abs Volume 2 from home edition, as we are still in a lockdown here in Ontario where we are. But what is our metric going to be? It's going to be a very simple exercise which we've noticed that a lot of people seem to struggle with in the gym. We are going to be focusing not only on glorious, magnificent arms as it is the summer, but also the simple sit-up. That is going to be our test for the next 6 weeks, improving hip flexor and abdominal strength as we go to try and improve our sit-ups. So how are we going to measure that? Well, we'll talk about that in a second. So, to get us warmed up for today's test and our strength piece and the rest of the workout today, we are going to do 3 things. So we are going to start off with some simple wall circles for the arm. So all you need is a wall and an arm. That's all you need. For doing our wall circles, we're going to do 5 forwards, 5 backwards, which equals 10. We're doing 10 per arm each set. From there, we're going to grab a band and get into some scapular retraction in the form of some band pull-aparts. We'll be doing those for 15 reps. And last but not least, taken from the 5 rights of Tibetan yoga, we are going to look at not only shoulder flexion, extension, spinal mobility, pretty much whole body mobility in the form of the pump. So we're going to do these 3 things 3 times in the warm-up. Let's take a look at it. The game with the wall circle is trying not to touch the wall, but seeing how close we can get. So you can start with a fair distance away in terms of where your hip is to the wall. And all we're going to do is lead with the thumb up, we turn the palm to the wall, and we're going to come around with ideally not touching the wall. So I'm going to do 5 reps going backwards, and then 5 reps going forwards. And of course, we are going to play around with doing both sides each time, but also as the reps go on, the sets go on, how close can we get to the wall without a weird compensation of some kind? Try and keep things as tight as possible as we do our wall circles. From the wall circles done, we're then going to do some band pull-aparts. So all I need is a band. I'm going to set my hands up, and I can either go single band, or I can fold the band over and go double band. Hands should be pretty much where I bench press or where I do my push-ups. Then I'm going to pull the band apart and bring the band to touch the bottom of my chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together each time. I want to make sure that there's not too much flex on the band. There should be a lot of tension when we're doing our 15 reps. Last but not least, from Tibetan yoga, we are going to do the pump. So I start in my downward facing dog position, trying to get my forehead towards my toes. From here, hips to the floor, and then hips back up to the ceiling is 1 rep. We're going to do 10 reps of the pump in our 3-round warm-up today. As always, when it comes to a new cycle, we like to have a benchmark to work off of. So our benchmark for this 6-week cycle is how many sit-ups can I do in 3 minutes? So there's 2 options available to you when it comes to doing sit-ups, particularly if sit-ups are a very tough exercise for you. We're going to talk about those 2 options, but it's simple. How many reps can I get done in a 3-minute window? Then we are going to test that again in 6 weeks' time. Super simple, so let's take a look at how it should go down. When it comes to our test today, it's simple. When it comes to setting up for our sit-up, the situation's pretty straightforward. We've got like a 90-degree bend in the knees. We're going to do what we call vampire style with the arms crossed. And I'm going to see if I can bring my elbows to touch my knee each time. So of course I'll go over that in a second. The choice we have is twofold. Do I do it with my feet flat on the floor, or do I do it with my feet anchored under some dumbbells, under my couch? You'll find that with the feet anchored, it's a little bit easier. The reason being is I get to pull my toes up into that object, engage the shin, engage the quad, which in turn helps me engage the hip, which in turn helps me sit up. So if you find sit-ups are very, very tough for you, I recommend the anchored version. If you do not want to do the anchored version, you want to have feet on the floor, perfectly fine. But whatever you do in the next 6 weeks, when it says sit-ups, you choose the option you chose today. So don't go switching, mixing, matching. It's always the option that you did today for the next 6 weeks. So with that in mind, all I've got to think about is that vampire position. So I cross the arms, and I'm going to start. You can either start laying on the floor, or you can start with the elbows on the knees. I'm going to come all the way down, sit all the way up, bring the elbows to the knees every single rep. It does not count if I'm just halfway. Little pulsy mini reps do not count either. Full range of motion is what we are looking to achieve, and it's as many reps as you can do in 3 minutes. Today's strength piece is 4 sets. Each set is 4.5 minutes long, split into 3 90-second windows of time. 1, 2, 3. Out of that 90 seconds, we're going to be working for half of it. So it means I'm going to be working for 45 seconds for each exercise, and then I rest for 45 seconds before I go into the following exercise. So we're going to do these 3 things 4 times. We start off with push-ups today. We're doing push-ups at a 3-1-x-1 tempo. Of course, I'll demonstrate how that will look in just a second. From there, in our next 90 seconds, we're going to be doing bicep curls, same tempo, different movement. So we're going to go over how that tempo works as well at 3-1-x-1. And then prone Y raises, we are going to do those for a 2-1-x-2 tempo. Very different tempo, because it's a very different exercise. So with that in mind, we're going to do these 3 things 4 times. Let's take a look at them. So when we look at the tempo for each of our exercises, we need to understand which part is the eccentric first, the lowering phase or the lengthening phase, which part is the concentric phase, the shortening phase or the up phase is the easiest way to put it. You're either going down or you're going up, depending on the movement that you're doing. So with push-ups, we start with being eccentric, we lower first, then we're concentric. So when we read the tempo, 3-1-x-1, it means it should look like this. So whether I'm on the toes or on the knees or on a bench, whatever it should be 1, 2, 3, 1 second pause, and explode up. 1, 2, 3, 1 second pause, and explode up. And we're going to see how many reps of push-ups, just like that, we can do in 45 seconds. With our bicep curls, you can be standing, seated, wherever you like. But ideally, we're moving both arms together at the same time. So you can do 2 dumbbells, 2 kettlebells, or like I'm going to use right here, a single barbell. The tempo reads the same as push-ups, but we know the movement is different. We are concentric first. We lift the weight first in the bicep curl. So that means it's X1. So we explode up, pause for a second, and then it's 1, 2, 3 on the way down, pause for a second before we get to the next one. So we explode up, pause for a second, 1, 2, 3, pause at the hips before we get into the next rep. 45 seconds of bicep curls. With the prone Y raise, we're going to be prone, which means face down. We're going to be in a Y, which is like the Y in YMCA. We read the tempo differently. It says 2-1-x-2, but we know we're concentric first. That means we read the x2 part first. So that means explode up. Well, we're not really going to explode that much. It just means move with purpose. We raise up, hold for 2, 1, 2, and then we take 1, 2 to lower down. The range of motion is very short, so we don't need to be swinging these weights around. Focus on the pause, focus on the descent. Up, 1, 2, and then 1, 2 on the way down. Up, and 1, 2, 1, 2 on the way down. Start with some light weights, and then get ever so slightly heavier, if you can, across the sets and across the 45 seconds. Our conditioning piece today is a short and sweet one. We've got a lot of stuff going on in this current hour. So it's only going to be a little 10-minute AMRAP today. Nice and easy, nothing to be concerned with. We are going to start off with our AMRAP. Well, what does AMRAP mean? It means as many rounds or reps as possible. So in each one of our rounds, we have these 3 exercises to do. Once we've done those 3 exercises, we repeat them as many times as possible in 10 minutes. So my first exercise is going to be plank rows. So I need 2 dumbbells for that. I'm going to do 5 reps per hand, alternating back and forth. From there, we can stay on the dumbbells if we like for some mountain climbers today. We're going to do 10 per leg. We'll talk about how that should look as well. And then last but not least, we're going to stand up with that same pair of dumbbells, bringing those dumbbells over the head, using some leg drive. We're going to do 15 push press. So we're going to do these 3 things as many times as we can in our 10-minute AMRAP. Let's take a look at how they should go down. To start our plank row, we need to be in shoulder width position with the dumbbells. And also remember that when we're bringing our dumbbells back down to the floor, is not all of a sudden changing that hand position. They should always be approximately shoulder width. From here, I'm going to set the feet up just outside of hip width, abs tight, buns tight, and I drive the elbow back. So I'm going to do 5 per side, 10 total, before I get into mountain climbers. Remembering not to set the bum up, not to bring the dumbbell to the heel, try and keep everything nice and tight in our plank rows. So for ease of transition when it comes to the mountain climbers, I like to stay on the dumbbells. That way I'm not messing around and moving dumbbells here and there. But of course, if it's a bit too tough on your hands, just move the dumbbells out and give yourself some space. So when it comes to setting ourselves up for mountain climbers, we got a few options. Option number 1 is just bring the knees up to the chest. Of course, doing 10 per leg. You can bring the knee up towards the elbow, And if you really want to increase the range of motion, foot all the way up by the hands, 10 per side. Either way, it's 20 total, 10 per side on the mountain climber. So once I've done my plank rows, mountain climbers, it's now push press. So we take our dumbbells off the floor to the shoulder, and we're going to use that leg drive. Dip drive to overhead, and we are going to do 15 reps in a row. And if we can, try to keep that leg drive nice and strong. So we do 5 per side of a plank row, 10 per side of a mountain climber, 15 push press, 5, 10, 15. We do that as many times as possible in 10 minutes. Good luck with testing at the beginning of this new arms and abs cycle, and let us know how you got on.